In this video, we're going to install SQL Server Management Studio and also make sure we can connect to the class database. The instructions are in Desire to Learn under Lesson 1 Database Intro, Installing SQL Server Management Studio 2014. And this will take you to a link to Microsoft where you can download what you need. So we're going to select English as the language and click Download. And we have a number of different versions to choose from. Whether you choose 32-bit or 64-bit depends on your version of the operating system. The easiest way to find that out is to go to the Start menu, right-click on Computer, and select Properties. And this will tell you which version of the operating system you're using. So I'm using a 64-bit operating system. I'm actually using Windows 8. And so I'm going to use one of these 64-bit versions here. Now, which version you select is going to depend on what options you want. They're basically different bundles of software. SQL Management Studio looks like a good one to me, so I'm going to pick that one, 64-bit, and next. So now my download's begun. It will take a few minutes depending on your bandwidth. Okay, so that's downloaded. Now, depending on which browser you're using and how you have it set up, it may have downloaded to a different location. I'm going to go Show in Folder. I'm using Chrome, and so it goes into my Downloads folder. And I'm going to just double-click on this executable to install. Yes. And I'll take the default directory for extracted files. Now I always start getting impatient right around now, so I'm going to start the task manager just so I can see what's going on. Order by CPU. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so I'm going to create a new SQL Server standalone installation. Okay, so this pops up. I'm going to accept the license terms. I'm not going to turn on the customer experience improvement program. You can if you want to. I like show details. Okay, so I'm going to install everything. Okay, so that took about 15 minutes or so, which is kind of a long time, but as a result, everything seems to have installed successfully, and I was keeping an eye on my hard disk activity log to make sure it looked like it didn't wedge. So I'm going to go ahead and close. Now, one thing that I always like to do, let me get rid of here. So one thing that I always like to do after I install a major piece of software is to go ahead and create a checkpoint. So I'm going to go to my control panel, system restore, recovery, and create a system restore point. And I'm going to create, and this is going to be SSMS. And that way, if I get an operating system problem later on and have to reinstall, I can go back to this restore point and not have to reinstall SQL Server Management Studio again. Okay, so that took a few minutes too, depending on how long it's been since the last time you created a restore point. But think of all the time you'll be saving if your system has trouble. So let's go ahead and see if it worked. I'm going to go under All Programs, and I have Microsoft SQL Server 2014. And I'm going to start Management Studio. Okay, first time you start up, it'll have to load user settings. Okay, so here it comes. Now I'm going to connect to a database engine. The class database is cisdbss.pcc.edu, and I'm going to use SQL Server Authentication. Username is going to be 275student, and password is going to be 275student as well. And I'm going to remember the password and connect. Dismiss that. Okay, so I'm connected to the server. Everything looks good. I can see the fired up database. I'm going to just test it by creating a new query. I'm going to say use fired up, select star from customer, and execute, and I get the results back. So that means everything's working correctly.